My name is Ling Shuo. As my cold consciousness returned, a sharp, throbbing pain surged through every pore of my chest. This is not the star field I am familiar with, nor is it my original body that was torn apart by spatial turbulence in the void storm. Inside the dimly lit, luxurious palace, the wisps of ambergris smoke swirled among the carved dragon pillars. Standing ahead was a middle-aged woman dressed in a purple-gold palace gown, with tear stains at the corners of her eyes. She was none other than Consort Qin, one of the nominal rulers of Yaoguang Star and the birth mother of the former ninth prince, Qin Yao. Yao, you're finally awake! Consort Qin's voice trembled as she quickly stepped forward to help me, but her fingertips trembled violently the moment she touched my shoulder. Her well-maintained hands froze in midair, a deep complexity, sorrow, and a kind of desperate madness flashing in her eyes. You're not my Yao, are you? The air froze instantly. I remained calm, simply raising my eyes to examine this noble consort who ruled over countless star fields. The remnants of my possessed memories were merging with the instincts of this body. The real ninth prince, Qin Yao, was killed 3 days ago by a hidden arrow during an ambush by secret agents from the star domain. And I, a soul from beyond the realm, possessing the heaven-defying ability to create 993 clones, happened to seize this body at that crucial moment. Your Majesty has such keen perception. My voice was hoarse, but there was no trace of panic at being exposed. Instead, it carried a calm and superior air. The real Qin Yao has already died in the gutter of the desolate domain. The one who is alive now is Ling Shuo, who has been reborn in his body. Consort Qin smiled bitterly. Instead of calling for someone to protect her, she staggered back 2 steps and leaned against the cold sandalwood table. She stared intently at me, tears finally welling up in her eyes. Good riddance. Good riddance! That rebellious son was always arrogant and domineering, and had long been the target of everyone's hatred. But now that he's dead, I, as his mother, have reached the end of my life in this cannibalistic harem. She suddenly took a deep breath and pulled out an ancient jade box from her sleeve, its surface dark red and faintly glowing with blood. Snap! The jade box popped open, releasing no medicinal fragrance, only a terrifying, ancient, primordial pressure that pierced the soul. It was a piece of blood jade, about the size of an adult's palm, shaped like a beating heart. Thick blood seemed to flow on the surface of the jade, emitting an eerie red glow that sent chills down one's spine. Soul-locking blood jade! My gaze narrowed slightly as I recognized this forbidden object, which was only mentioned briefly in ancient starfield texts. This is not a sealing artifact. Yes, this is not a sealing artifact, but a bloodline replacement treasure that cuts off all escape routes. Consort Qin's eyes gleamed with a desperate, fervent light. It can forcibly extract the pure bloodline from the body of a supreme deity who has recently fallen and whose soul has not yet dissipated, and transplant it without reservation into another living body using jade as a medium, completing a complete bloodline replacement. She suddenly looked up, her gaze fixed on me intently. But do you know what its survival rate is? How many? 1 in 200. Consort Qin enunciated each word clearly, her voice sharp and distorted. Throughout history, of all those who have attempted bloodline replacement, 99 have been burned to ashes by the raging, alien divine blood halfway through. The pain is like 10,000 needles gnawing at the bones, or lava burning the internal organs. Even great emperor-level powerhouses would retreat in the face of it. The temperature inside the palace seemed to have dropped to freezing point. I looked at her coldly. Since the survival rate is only 1 in 200, why do you think I would agree? Moreover, as his biological mother, you actually want to strip away the last bit of your own son's legacy? Your own son? Ha ha! Consort Qin laughed shrilly. The henchmen of the first Prince Qingjin have already put a knife to my throat. You think you can fool everyone by pretending to be Qin Yao now? The Star Domain Bloodline Crystal Appraisal Conference in 3 days, and the subsequent Trial Tower of Fallen Gods, if you are exposed at any stage, you imposter will be skinned alive and hung outside Radiant Star for 300 years. She approached me step by step, her withered fingers gripping my sleeve tightly. But I just had someone investigate. You possess a strange passive talent that even the great Emperor cannot fathom. Your vitality and the resilience of your soul are simply incomparable to ordinary people. My intuition tells me that 1/200th chance of survival will become 100% in you. I fell silent. She's right. Although I've taken over this body, the bloodline of the original low-level Tsengming star still flows within me. This disguise is flawless in the eyes of ordinary people, but it will instantly reveal its true form when faced with the bloodline authentication crystal of the core of Yaoguang star, or a true great emperor. This is a high-stakes gamble. If I win, I will establish myself firmly in the star system. If I lose, I will be annihilated. Yao's body is in the ice coffin in the side hall. Seeing that I did not immediately refuse, Consort Chen softened her voice, which was full of temptation and pleading. Do it. Success means life, failure means death. I didn't say another word, threw off the covers, and stood up from the bed. Lead the way. The side hall was chilly. A crystal clear, icy coffin stood silently in the center. Inside the coffin lay the once incomparably noble Ninth Prince, Qin Yao. Although he had perished, his body remained incorruptible, and a faint golden light flowed between his brows and across his skin. The Radiant Star Dawn God bloodline, the most elite bloodline of Radiant Star, possessed only by direct descendants. Without hesitation, I sat cross-legged opposite the ice coffin, following the ancient secret method remaining in the soul-locking blood jade. Consort Chen suspended the blood jade above our heads. Boom! With a muffled roar, a crack appeared on the surface of the soul-locking blood jade, and a surge of energy, as if it were solid, intertwined with gold and blood, instantly enveloped me and the ice coffin. The ceremony begins and will last for 7 hours. Consort Chen retreated to the palace entrance, her hands clasped together, her knuckles pale. All 64 main meridians must be forcibly opened by the new blood. If you dare to faint even once during the process, your nerves will sever, and you will immediately become a cripple or explode on the spot. The words had barely left his mouth when a piercing pain exploded within him. Puff! I coughed up a mouthful of blood, my body contorting violently. It wasn't ordinary physical pain, but a feeling of being ripped away from the depths of my soul. The soul-locking blood jade transformed into countless invisible steel needles, piercing my bone marrow and drawing away drop by drop the stable Tsengming star blood within me, replacing it with that scalding, molten gold divine bloodline. Ugh! Even with my self-control, I couldn't help but let out a low, beast-like growl from deep in my throat. The instant the first meridian was opened, cold sweat soaked through my brocade robe, and fine beads of blood even seeped from my skin. The feeling was like thousands of ants gnawing at my bone marrow, or like throwing a living person into a steel furnace for repeated tempering. Hold on! Don't faint! I roared in my heart. Time seemed to slow down drastically in the midst of extreme pain. Outside the main hall, night was deepening. Rustling sound, a series of heavy, orderly footsteps in golden armor approached from afar. It was the patrol guard under the command of the first Prince Qinjin, who would pass by the imperial concubine's palace every hour. Is there anything unusual inside? A cold, authoritative voice rang out from outside the hall, no more than 10 steps from the wooden door. Reporting to the commander, everything is normal in the imperial concubine's chambers. The lights are still on. The guard captain replied indifferently. Inside the palace gates, I was at the critical moment when my 48th main meridian was forcibly forced open. The violent backlash caused blood to spill from the corners of my eyes and nostrils, my body temperature was frighteningly high, and even the air began to distort. If the person outside pushes open the door, or if I let out even the slightest gasp, the ceremony will be ruined, and both Consort Chen and I will be doomed. I clenched my teeth so hard that my gums crumbled, my mouth filled with a metallic, rusty taste. I mustered my remaining consciousness to forcefully suppress the raging golden blood within me, swallowing back all my screams and trembling. The people outside the door paused for a moment. Those few seconds felt like an eternity. Finally, the footsteps sounded again, fading into the distance. Call! I breathed a sigh of relief, but then, an even more terrifying 50th meridian strike followed. A full 7 hours. As the last ray of moonlight disappeared below the horizon and the sky began to lighten, the soul-locking blood jade shattered into countless dust particles with a deafening roar. Boom! I suddenly opened my eyes. In that instant, 2 dazzling golden rays shot out from the depths of my eyes, illuminating the dim side hall as bright as day. The previously blocked and stagnant meridians within his body now flowed like a raging river, with boundless golden divine power surging wildly through his limbs and bones. The wounds on his skin healed completely in an instant, and even his pores emitted a faint fragrance. The true bloodline of the radiant star god, perfectly fused. I slowly stood up and clenched my fist. A series of excruciatingly loud cracking sounds echoed in the void. You succeeded. You really did it. Consort Chen collapsed to the ground, laughing and crying at the same time, her eyes filled with the ecstatic joy of surviving a disaster. I glanced down at her and said calmly, From this day forward I am the true Chen Yao. No one can use bloodline as an excuse anymore. However, fate never gives anyone a chance to catch their breath. On the morning of the 3rd day after the blood transfusion ceremony, the urgent yet melodious 9-tone imperial bell suddenly rang out over the entire imperial city. Clang, clang, clang. 9 bells rang, signaling the summons. The supreme ruler of Radiant Star, Emperor Radiant, who controls the life and death of billions of starfields, issued an imperial edict in public. Summon all princes and princesses to the Central Council Hall immediately. The Trial Tower of Fallen Gods, held once every 120 years, is about to open. Inside the Grand Hall, the atmosphere was magnificent. The white marble floor reflected the dazzling starry sky pattern on the dome, and the sides were filled with imperial elders and high-ranking officials clad in armor. As Consort Chen and I entered the main hall one after the other, dozens of sharp, piercing gazes were instantly directed at us. The eldest prince, Qin Jin, sat upright at the head of the left side, dressed in a golden python robe, with a gentle and refined smile on his face, but deep in his eyes lurked a chilling ruthlessness. He was originally the designated crown prince, and for 35 years he had painstakingly cultivated his position. Everyone thought that the position was rightfully his, but as my bloodline as the true prince became more and more pure, his right to succession had been shaken to the point of being precarious. Beside him, the 7th Prince Jinyu crossed his arms, glancing at me sideways with undisguised jealousy and disdain on his lips. The 5th Prince Chen Yang, straightforward in nature, nodded at me casually. The 2nd Prince Jinshe was calm and taciturn, like a sharp sword hidden in its sheath, while the 3rd Princess Chenling sat in the corner, her expression aloof, observing everything with cold eyes. Greetings, Father Emperor. I bowed slightly, neither humble nor arrogant. High upon the imperial throne, the majestic figure of Emperor Yao was obscured by golden divine light. His eyes, seemingly capable of seeing through the ages, fell upon me, lingering for several seconds before he slowly spoke, his voice resonating throughout the entire arena. My sons, the Trial Tower of Fallen Gods, held once every 120 years, will officially open tomorrow. This tower has 8 levels, and legend has it that the ultimate reward of the 8th level possesses the ultimate power to break through the 210th level of martial arts. Whoever obtains this opportunity will be the next successor to the Radiant Star Lord. Whoosh! These words immediately caused an uproar in the hall. Countless princes' eyes blazed with burning ambition. Level 210. That's an insurmountable barrier that has blocked countless powerful figures on the entire Radiant Star for tens of thousands of years. Whoever can break through it can transcend the star field and truly control this universe. Emperor Yao's gaze swept across the entire room, finally settling on me. His tone carried a hint of praise and expectation. 9th Prince, your bloodline purity has increased significantly recently. I can feel the pure dawn god-descendant fluctuations within you. In my opinion, you are the most promising person in the entire star field to pass the 8th level. Upon hearing this, the gentle smile on the face of the eldest prince, Qinjin, almost froze. His hands, hidden in his wide sleeves, clenched tightly, his nails digging deep into his palms. After 35 years of preparation, why should I, the 9th prince who has just emerged from the limelight, suddenly receive such undisguised favoritism from my father? 9th brother. Qinjin slowly raised his head, looking at me with a forced smile. Your brother is here, wishing you a safe journey out of the trial tower. The murderous intent is clearly revealed between the lines. After the meeting in the main hall ended and everyone dispersed, the night was as dark as ink. Deep within the Crown Prince's residence, in a secret chamber. With a livid face, Qinjin smashed the teacup in his hand to the ground, splashing scalding tea everywhere. Your Highness, please calm down! An advisor stepped forward, wiping away cold sweat. That 9th prince has used some kind of sorcery to make his bloodline so pure. If he really passes the 8th level of the trial tower, the position of Crown Prince will be completely out of your Highness's reach. I've been preparing for this for 35 years, how can I let it all be ruined by this good-for-nothing? Qinjin's eyes were bloodshot, and his face was contorted with rage. Since we can't touch him openly, then we'll use the underworld methods. He whirled around, pulled a heavy storage ring from his robes that emitted a faint blue light, and threw it on the table. Go, use the huge sum of 12,000 Xian Yuan pills to contact the underground dark web of the desolate domain through secret channels and hire that madman. Upon seeing the mark on the storage ring, the strategist was immediately shocked. Your Highness, are you referring to that nemesis of the Ash Fire Star, Kylo? Yes, it's him. Qinjin gritted his teeth. The Ash Fire Star clan was wiped out by our Radiant Star back then. He has gone through 31 deadly battles without a single defeat, reaching a level of 124. Moreover, he has mastered the forbidden technique Ashfire Demon Battle Body, which increases defense by 12 times. I will challenge him to an irresistible life-or-death duel in the starfield. But Your Highness, a life-or-death duel broadcasts live across the entire star system, if it gets out of hand. So what if it gets out of hand? As long as I tear Old 9 to pieces on the stage, dead people are worthless. Qinjin sneered. Old 9's registered level is only 111. The suppression brought by the level difference, plus Kylo's forbidden technique, I will make sure he is completely wiped out in front of the whole world. The next morning, a shocking piece of news that shook the entire star system was instantly transmitted to millions of planets through the Star Network's light screen. The First Prince's faction openly challenged the 9th Prince, Qin Yao, to a life-or-death duel. Challenger, Kylo, a survivor from Ember Mars, level 124, undefeated in 31 death matches. Challenger, 9th Prince Qin Yao, surface level 111. Billions of eyes across the entire star system instantly focused on this life-or-death situation where the odds were heavily against them. Everyone knew that this was a blatant, decisive battle. The projection of the starfield light screen floated above the Imperial City, magnifying every detail of the dueling arena and presenting it clearly to billions of living beings. The cold winds of the desolate region, carrying stardust, howled past, making the black arena rustle loudly. I stood on the left side of the arena, my black robe billowing in the wind. On the surface, my suppressed spiritual energy fluctuations at level 111 seemed utterly insignificant in the face of my opponent's overwhelming pressure. The 48% damage reduction resulting from the level difference felt like an insurmountable chasm, weighing heavily on the hearts of all my supporters. Your Highness, this time, I'm afraid even a great Luo Golden Immortal cannot save you. Across the arena, Cairo grinned maliciously, cracking his neck. He was over 2 meters tall, his bare upper body covered in a dense network of ancient scars, each one resembling a coiled venomous snake. Within him, terrifying divine power at level 124 was surging wildly, tearing the surrounding space apart with fine black spatial cracks. Boom! With a deep roar, Kylo crossed his arms across his chest, and a thick, dark, eerie black light mixed with scarlet flames instantly rose from his skin. Forbidden Technique Ember Demon Battle Body. In an instant, Kylo's physical defenses surged exponentially, increasing 12-fold. He looked like an immortal war god who had emerged from the primordial chaos, each breath reverberating with a deep, thunderous roar. That's a forbidden technique from the Ash Firestar that has been lost for a long time. The expressions of the many elders watching the battle from the high platform of the Imperial City changed drastically. With the defense increasing 12-fold, plus the absolute level suppression of level 124, even if Ninth Brother has the bloodline of the Dawn God, he simply cannot break through the defense. The eldest prince, Chen Jin, sat in the VIP section, his hand holding the wine glass trembling slightly, a cruel yet gleeful smile curving his lips. He seemed to already see the gruesome scene of me being punched into a bloody mist by Cairo in the next second. The entire star system held its breath. Most of the powerful figures from other star systems had even begun to sneer, preparing to watch how this newly risen genius prince would fall under the spotlight. At this critical moment, deep within my mind, an ancient and obscure cultivation technique incantation flowed through me like a rushing galaxy. It was late last night when Emperor Yao secretly summoned me and personally handed me a tattered animal hide, the forbidden technique of Yaoguang Star. Burning Yuan Mad Technique. This technique is extremely domineering. After the first level is unleashed, the attack power and speed will increase 100-fold instantly, but the cost is enormous. It can only be maintained for 1 minute and 20 seconds. After it ends, the user will fall into a period of extreme weakness for 20 days. Emperor Yao looked at me with a solemn expression. Back then, it took me 4 years to master the first level. Ninth Brother, you are pressed for time. If you are not confident, do not try it blindly. 4 years? I just smiled faintly at the time. Ordinary people need to systematically comprehend the meridians to cultivate forbidden techniques, but I possess 993 clones. That very night, after receiving my orders and returning to my residence in the main hall, I immediately spread out all 993 clones, their souls connected, to simultaneously comprehend the Burning Yuan Mad Technique. All 993 thoughts operated, deduced, and experimented simultaneously. In just 6 hours, I not only completely mastered the first level of the Burning Yuan Mad Technique, but also, with my terrifying computing power and ultimate deconstruction of the technique, I broke through the shackles that countless predecessors could not overcome and comprehended the second level that no one had ever reached before. The second level's limits are even more terrifying. The duration of the burst is extended from 1 minute and 20 seconds to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, while the weakness period of the side effects is compressed to 8 days. Roar! Die, you bastard! On the arena, Cairo gave me no time to think. With his Ember Demon battle body, which boosted his defense 12-fold, he was like a black meteor falling from the sky, carrying a violent fist wind that could destroy everything, and he smashed straight down towards my face. Before the punch even landed, the hard basalt ground around the arena was already cracking inch by inch, and the violent shockwave tore my clothes to shreds. Your death is in 1 minute and 20 seconds, Genius Prince, fall! Cairo laughed wildly. Faced with this devastating blow, I did not retreat an inch. Boom! The dormant meridians within my body were instantly ignited. Golden divine blood roared wildly in my veins, and a terrifying pressure far exceeding that of ordinary divine-level experts erupted from my body without reservation. The first level of the Burning Yuan Mad Technique is now open. Attack power and speed are increased 100-fold instantly. Bang! I made a fist with one hand, neither dodging nor evading, and met Kylo's seemingly invincible iron fist head-on. The moment our fists collided, there was no evenly matched force as I had imagined. A terrifying shockwave transformed into a visible circular air wave, shattering the space within 100 feet radius. Cairo's sinister smile froze instantly. He felt as if his punch had struck an ancient divine mountain. Not only did he not gain any advantage, but he was also thrown back dozens of feet by an unparalleled force, causing his blood to churn. How is this possible? How could a level 111 ant like you possibly stop my Ember Demon battle body? Cairo steadied himself, his eyes filled with disbelief and shock. The entire star system was in an uproar. The once noisy StarNet chat instantly fell into an eerie silence. Time passed second by second. 80 seconds. 90 seconds. 1 minute and 20 seconds. In the blink of an eye, the limit of maintaining the first level of the ordinary Burning Yuan Mad technique has been quietly reached. The eldest prince, Qinjin, suddenly leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with wild joy. It's over! The 1 minute and 20 seconds limit has expired. His explosive power should be exhausted. Kill him! Kylo also keenly sensed the subtle change in my aura. He grinned maliciously, forcibly suppressing the surging blood energy within him, and launched another attack. So that's all the time you have? Die! The black light, which provided 12 times the defense, blazed brightly once more. Cairo, like a ferocious beast ready to devour its prey, charged fiercely at me with its last remaining power. Everyone believed that at this critical juncture, I, exhausted, would surely die. However, just as Cairo's fist was less than 3 inches from my nose, the golden light in my eyes did not dim. Instead, it became as dazzling as the sun. Buzz! Within my body, a terrifying torrent belonging to the second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique suddenly awakened. Second floor, open! The aura that had begun to decline surged exponentially again in that instant. My speed and power soared to a whole new peak. What? The sneer on Cairo's face instantly turned into extreme terror. He never dreamed that this young man could actually deduce this forbidden technique to a second level that even its creator had never seen. The terrifying 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the explosion was just the beginning. Boom! I struck out with my palm, and golden divine power transformed into an ancient divine sword that tore through the sky, carrying unparalleled penetrating power, and fiercely slashed towards Kylo. Pfft! Cairo's Ember Demon battle body was already at its limit, on the verge of expiration. Now, facing the ultimate attack from the second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique. At its peak, his proud 12 times defense was as fragile as a piece of paper, instantly torn apart by the divine sword. The protective black light shattered with a deafening roar. The golden divine sword pierced through his chest with unstoppable force, pinning Kylo to the distant black mountain wall. The entire room fell silent. Millions of eyes were fixed on the image on the screen, completely silent. Kylo, the nemesis who remained undefeated in 31 deadly battles on Mars, has fallen. I stood in the center of the ring, slowly withdrew my hand, and let out a long sigh of relief. However, almost at the same moment that he killed Kylo, an indescribable emptiness and violent backlash surged into his body like a tidal wave. The side effects of the second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique arrived as expected. Boom! The divine power within me, the Dawn God bloodline I had finally awakened, and even all my passive talents were forcibly and completely sealed away by an invisible force at this moment. My body swayed, and I almost fell from midair. For 8 whole days, I was unable to use the slightest bit of strength. Now I am no different from a cripple. But at this critical juncture, the most fatal problem has arisen. The Trial Tower of Fallen Gods, held once every 120 years, will officially open the day after tomorrow morning. No, we must remove the backlash of the forbidden technique within 2 days, otherwise, if we miss the Trial Tower, everything will be in vain. I gritted my teeth, enduring the weakness that felt like thousands of ants were gnawing at my bones, and returned to the Imperial City alone amidst the shocked and complicated gazes of countless people, heading straight into the depths of the Royal Forbidden Area. The Forbidden Area of the Royal Family, the soul-cleansing abyss pool left by the ancestors. As I stood by the pool, several Imperial elders' expressions changed drastically, and they hurriedly tried to stop me. Your Highness, you mustn't! The backlash from the Burning Yuan Mad technique is no small matter, and although the soul-cleansing abyss pool can eliminate the aftereffects of the forbidden technique, it will amplify all the physical and spiritual pain experienced by those in the pool by a full 11 times. Throughout history, out of 10 people who have jumped in, less than 4 have survived for 14 hours. The process is like being sliced by 1,000 blades. The slightest carelessness will result in the annihilation of both body and soul. Get out of the way. I didn't waste any words. My tone was calm yet carried an undeniable authority. Thump. Without the slightest hesitation, I stepped directly into the spirit abyss pool, where dark blue bubbles were churning. Boom! The instant my body touched the pool water, an unimaginable, excruciating pain overwhelmed me like a tsunami. It wasn't a normal burn or sting. It was torture, every muscle, every nerve, being torn apart and then reassembled. The pain was magnified 11 times, turning my face deathly pale in an instant, veins bulging on my forehead, and cold sweat mixed with blood streaming down my face. On the shore, the first Prince Qingjin and many elders and princes watched coldly, waiting to see me scream in agony when I couldn't hold on any longer. However, to everyone's surprise, from beginning to end, I sat cross-legged in the middle of the pool. Although my body was trembling violently due to the excruciating pain, and even fine beads of blood began to seep from the surface of my skin, my lips were tightly pursed, and I didn't even let out a muffled groan. How is this possible? Qingjin's face turned ashen, his hands clenched into fists. Unbeknownst to him, the instant I entered the pool, I had already quietly transferred most of my consciousness and pain perception to several clones left deep within the mansion. Although my main body was enduring torture, under the calm control of my core soul, I managed to compress and streamline this 14-hour ordeal into 11 hours. When the 11th hour bell rang, I suddenly opened my eyes. Whoosh! The pool water burst open, and I stepped onto the shore. At this moment, the backlash from the forbidden technique within my body had completely dissipated, and the sealed divine power and the bloodline of the Dawn God descendant were once again surging and roaring through my limbs and bones. My condition had not only fully recovered, but it was even slightly improved compared to before. 2 days later at dawn, the majestic gates of the fallen god Trial Tower, towering into the clouds, roared open amidst the shocked gazes of countless powerful figures from the starfield. Rumble! The heavy, ancient stone door opened completely with a dull, thunderous sound. On the first level of the fallen god Trial Tower, beneath a vast starry dome, lies a wide training ground paved with countless black basalt rocks. The moment I stepped inside, a violent spatial ripple spread through the void. Accompanied by a low, grinding sound, a tall puppet, carved entirely from ancient starstone crystals, slowly condensed into form. The giant sword in the stone golem's hand was pointed diagonally at the ground, and the spiritual energy fluctuations and sense of oppression it emitted were exactly the same as my current apparent level. Level 111. Trial rules: defeat the stone crystal golem to pass the level and unlock the next level. A cold and mechanical ancient will echo throughout the entire first level. Outside the training grounds, a suspended star network of light screens projected the scene in real time to every corner of Radiant Star. Countless powerful figures, princes, and princesses watching the battle held their breath, their eyes glued to the screen. The first level is just a stone crystal golem of the same level. Although Ninth Prince has just overcome the difficulty of removing the backlash, it won't be so easy for him to pass through easily. Seventh Prince Qinyu snorted coldly and crossed his arms. The eldest prince, Qingjin, did not speak, but stared at me with a gloomy gaze on the light screen. On the arena, the crystal puppet moved. Boom! The basalt beneath its feet shattered instantly, and its massive body, like a cannonball, charged straight at me with a violent whooshing sound. Its giant star sword slashed down, creating a dazzling sword beam several meters long, determined to kill me in one blow. Faced with this fierce attack, I remained calm and didn't even try to dodge. The dormant passive talent within him, god-level counter damage, quietly activated at this moment. The moment the giant sword of the stone golem struck my shoulder squarely, there was no gruesome scene of flesh and blood flying everywhere, only a crisp, metallic clang. Bang! The recoil force surged back along the great sword. The stone golem's indestructible right arm caved in the instant it touched my body, and then the entire arm, along with the great sword, exploded into countless particles with a deafening roar. Moreover, the powerful counter-damage force penetrated directly into the body, instantly shattering the array patterns at the core of the puppet. With a loud bang, the first stone crystal golem collapsed without even harming a single hair on my head, turning into a pile of rubble. Outside the main hall, the crowd watching the live stream fell into an eerie silence. What? What kind of defense and counterattack is this? The stone crystal puppet's attack was completely reflected? An Imperial elder exclaimed in disbelief. Inside the training ground, the test was not over. According to the rules of the trial tower, several puppets of the same level will be randomly generated on each of the first 6 levels. When the next few puppets appeared one after another, I used the same method, relying on my strong physical body and the heaven-defying passive damage reflection to easily neutralize them all. However, in order not to appear too shocking and arouse unnecessary suspicion, I would deliberately slow down my pace each time I faced the last remaining puppet. I dusted off my sleeves and casually sat down on a blue stone, looking at the stone crystal golem wielding a battle axe in front of me. I said calmly, "Don't you stone lump types get tired of guarding this place every day? This star field is so big, don't you want to go out and see the world?" The crystal golem had no intelligence and mechanically swung its battle axe at you. I sidestepped and casually flicked a burst of divine power, striking its knee. I continued slowly, "Judging by your material, you must be the core of a 10,000-year-old Xuanqing mine, right? It's a pity that your intelligence is locked up in this tower, and you don't even have anyone to talk to." In the stands outside, countless people watched this scene, their lips twitching violently. What? What is Ninth Prince doing? He's chatting with the trial puppet? Seventh Prince Chinyu was so angry he almost crushed his teacup. This is the Tower of Life and Death trials. How can he be so leisurely, like he's strolling through his own backyard? The first Prince Chinjin's face was so dark it was almost dripping with water. He had originally wanted to see me fight a miserable and wretched battle, but the scene before him was the ultimate mockery of him. After delaying for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, and seeing that it was about time, I casually shattered the core of the last puppet with a single palm strike. With a flash of light, the doors leading to the 2nd to 6th floors opened one after another. For me, with my clone ability and incredible damage reflection, the so-called combat power test of the first 6 levels was nothing more than a long and boring stroll. With my absolute strength and exquisite timing, I made a swift and unstoppable advance, easily stepping onto the steps leading to the 7th level in less than 2 hours. The 7th floor. The atmosphere here is completely different from the previous 6 levels. There are no sword fights, no crystal golems, and no external forces to rely on. What appeared before me was a seemingly endless stone staircase leading to the heavens. There are a total of 108 levels. A terrifying pressure permeated the air, sending chills down one's spine. On this staircase, it was forbidden to use any internal divine power or mobilize any magical artifacts or clones. One could only rely purely on the willpower of the body and soul to withstand the pressure. Even more terrifying is that these steps have an extremely cruel rule. With each step upwards, the pain and pressure on one's will are multiplied. The moment I stepped onto the first step, a heavy, mountain-like force pressed down on my shoulders, as if a heavy hammer had struck my mind. When I reached the 30th level, fine beads of blood began to seep from every pore on my body. What terrifying pressure from the will! I took a deep breath, enduring the excruciating pain that felt like it was tearing my soul apart, and continued to lift my foot. Level 50. Level 70. Level 9. As I stepped onto the last dozen or so steps, the pain exceeded the limits of human physiology. My veins bulged beneath my skin, and blood slowly seeped from the corners of my eyes, nostrils, and ears, staining my chest red. A pure will to survive and an obsession with a higher realm sustained me from collapsing. By the time I reached the last 3 steps, I didn't even have the strength to stand. I gripped the cold stone steps tightly with both hands, and like a heavily burdened beast, I crawled forward step by step. Boom! When the last pair of hands gripped the top of the 108th step, the 7th level of space emitted a violent roar. All the pain receded like a tide in an instant, and a vast and warm ancient stellar power poured down from the void, frantically nourishing my battered body and soul. 7th floor cleared. Outside the Starnet light screen, everyone who had been waiting to see me make a fool of myself fell into a deathly silence. The royal elders and star lords from all sides looked at the young figure in the light screen, covered in blood but having climbed the entire way with sheer willpower, and for the first time, their eyes revealed heartfelt shock and awe. He actually survived the 7th level with his bare body. The eldest prince, Qin, staggered back half a step, his face ashen, his jealousy and fear reaching their peak at this moment. However, they did not know that the real shock was only just beginning. The 8th floor. This is the highest point that no one has ever set foot in since the Trial Tower of Fallen Gods was built 10,000 years ago. When I pushed open the heavy bronze door on the 8th floor, what greeted my eyes was not a magnificent palace, but a vast and boundless ancient starry sky. In the starry sky, a blurry yet majestic projection of an ancestor stood with his hands behind his back, silently watching me. "Young man, you are quite good." The ancestor's projection slowly turned around, his voice seemingly coming from the ancient times across time and space. "To have made it this far alive shows that you not only have strength, but also perseverance that is beyond the reach of ordinary people." I bowed slightly and said, "Junior Qinyao greets ancestor." The ancestral projection shook its head and let out a long sigh. "Don't hide it from me. Although you have merged with Yao's bloodline, your soul is not a native creature of this planet. Even I can't quite see through the secret of the unique and enormous clones within you." I was slightly startled, but I remained calm on the surface and didn't say anything. The ancestor showed no blame, but instead revealed a smile of appreciation. "It's all right. Where your soul comes from is not important. What's important is that you now have the blood of my clan flowing through your veins. Now that you've come this far, it's time to tell you some secrets that have been sealed for thousands of years." He raised his hand and waved it, and a dazzling starlight transformed into countless ancient characters that floated in midair. "Outsiders only know that the Radiant Stars techniques are renowned throughout the star field, but they don't know that the so-called Radiant Star techniques that have been passed down for thousands of years are actually an incomplete, castrated version of the king-level technique." The ancestor's voice carried a hint of sorrow and pride. "The original cultivation technique was called the Divine Rank Dawn Radiance Yuan technique. This technique was vast and boundless, and only those who truly possess divine rank talent could cultivate it. Back then, in order to allow future generations to barely cultivate it, I forcibly downgraded and split this technique. The price I paid was that everyone on Radiant Star who cultivated this technique was forever stuck on the edge of level 209, unable to break through to level 210 in their entire lives." My gaze sharpened, and I instantly understood the crux of the matter. What the ancestor meant was, the final test of the 8th level is to completely complete and master the original version of this lost masterpiece, the Divine Rank Dawn Radiance Yuan Gong. The ancestor looked at me deeply. "Time limit 14 hours. If you exceed this time, the trial will automatically fail, and you will be directly annihilated by the spatial laws of this place. 14 hours to comprehend and master a top-tier divine cultivation technique never seen before? This is simply an impossible task. However, for me, this is not a dead end. Please wait and see, our ancestors." I sat down cross-legged, and with the thought, in an instant, 993 clones simultaneously opened their eyes deep within my sea of consciousness, instantly dismantling, deducing, and reconstructing those countless ancient starlight characters. 993 thoughts transformed into 993 frantically operating superstar brains, simulating the cultivation technique millions of times at a speed that surpassed the rules of the heavenly Tao. An incense stick has burned for a while. Half an hour passed. It only took 40 minutes. Boom! Suddenly, an unprecedentedly dazzling golden light erupted from my body, and an ancient divine power surpassing anything before shot up from the top of my head, directly shaking the starry dome of the 8th level, causing it to ripple. Divine Rank Dawn Radiance Yuan Technique. Perfect Beginner's Guide. The ancestral projection, witnessing this scene, was utterly moved. Its previously blurred face even revealed an expression of utter shock. 40 minutes. Monster! This is simply an unprecedented, peerless prodigy. He took a deep breath, his gaze towards me filled with complexity and expectation. Good! 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 Now that you have successfully entered the path, you shall bear the consequences of this karma. With a wave of his hand, the ancestor sent a rune radiating the golden light of an ancient contract into my brow. Listen carefully. I am about to place an ancient curse upon you. Within 120 years, you must lead the entire radiant star to advance from its current low-level plane to a third-level planet. If you fail, your physical body will decay and rot under the curse. But if you successfully complete the mission, the curse will be automatically lifted, and you will even receive the blessing of the entire star field. As I felt the heavy contract rune in my mind, I felt no fear, but instead smiled confidently. A mere third-tier planet, 120 years is enough. Rumble! As the 8th level of the trial was passed, the entire fallen god trial tower trembled violently. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the supreme divine light atop the tower tore through the sky and shot straight into the heavens. I stood atop the tower with my hands behind my back, like a true ruler of the star field, looking down upon the billions of living beings below. Emperor Yao and the many elders bowed in unison and declared, "Today, 9th Prince Qingyao has passed the 8th level of the fallen god trial tower, and is officially appointed as the successor of the Radiant Star Lord." Below the main hall, the eldest prince, Qinjin, was ashen-faced. His legs gave way, and he collapsed to the ground. His ambition, painstakingly prepared for 35 years, was utterly shattered by me at this moment. On the afternoon of the day I became the crown prince, as was customary in the trial tower, I entered the heavily guarded royal treasury alone. The treasure vault has 3 levels, filled with countless rare and precious items rarely seen in the outside world. According to the rules, I can choose 3 treasures from here. My gaze swept quickly across the dazzling array of magical artifacts, finally locking onto 3 items precisely. The first item is an ancient, 3-legged round cauldron, entirely crimson with faint traces of ancient divine fire flowing across its walls, the Li Hua Ding, cauldron of departure and fire. The second item is an ancient prescription for the Azurank Profound Origin pill, which still retains the aura of ancient alchemy. The third item is a purple-level secret technique that even countless alchemists on Yaoguang Star have searched through ancient books but have never been able to learn, the Mind-Fire Control Technique. These are the 3 items. I put away the treasures, turned around, and walked out of the treasure vault. Back in the East Palace, I immediately sat down cross-legged, summoned the fire cauldron, and opened the ancient book. The Art of Controlling Fire and Primordial Elements. This alchemy technique, hailed as something no one on Radiant Star has mastered for countless millennia, is obscure and difficult to understand. Ordinary alchemists could spend their entire lives without even scratching the surface. But thanks to the frantic deductions and constant trial and error of my 993 clones, only 8 days have passed. Late at night on the 8th day. Boom! Inside the alchemy room of the Eastern Palace, a dazzling purple flame rose into the air beneath the Li Hua cauldron. I formed hand seals, and countless herbs transformed into streams of light, precisely casting them into the cauldron. Under the meticulous control of my clone's immense computing power, every minute detail of the heat and every fusion of divine power was perfected to the extreme. Buzz! With a clear and melodious sound, an extremely rich medicinal fragrance instantly filled the entire palace. Open the cauldron. 3 round, full, high-grade Xianyuan pills, radiating a blue-green aura, lay quietly at the bottom of the cauldron. The first formal alchemy attempt was a perfect success, and it directly reached a high-level quality. Relying on my unparalleled alchemy skills, I began exchanging herbs with various merchant guilds and elders using Azure-grade profound essence pills, initiating a snowballing cycle of resources. Vast amounts of cultivation resources were transformed into pure energy, propelling my cultivation level forward at breakneck speed. In just a few days, my surface level naturally broke through the bottleneck and directly broke through to level 125. However, just as I was preparing to take advantage of this momentum to reach a higher level, the entire star network of radiant stars suddenly boiled over again. A shocking secret that shook the entire star field has been revealed: the Spirit Essence Secret Realm, a phenomenon that occurs only once every 120 years, has officially appeared in the world today. Legend has it that this secret realm is filled with rare and high-level herbs that have long been extinct in the outside world, and even contains complete ancient pill formulas, as well as top-grade natural treasures needed for cultivators who have broken through to level 200 or above. However, the rules of the secret realm are extremely strict, the number of admission slots is very limited, and the secret realm is filled with a large number of terrifyingly powerful high-level guardian beasts. I was planning to enter the secret realm to find the emerald-grade pill formula that could support my subsequent breakthroughs. Although the eldest Prince Chinjin was devastated, after learning that the Spirit Essence secret realm was naturally isolated from external surveillance, and that the selection quota was determined by the royal family, his venomous mind started to stir again. There are no surveillance arrays in the Spirit Essence secret realm. Ninth brother, you've dug your own grave and willingly handed your life over to me. Chinjin looked at the proposed list of selected candidates, a cruel and bloodthirsty sneer curling at the corner of his mouth. A deadly net targeting me inside the secret realm was being silently cast. Inside the royal study, the air was filled with the fragrance of sandalwood, yet the atmosphere was somewhat oppressive. I stood before the imperial desk, holding a list of newly presented slots for the Spirit Essence secret realm. It clearly recorded the core disciples from various factions who were eligible to enter the realm, and my name was prominently listed at the top. Yao, this Spirit Essence secret realm is no ordinary place. Emperor Yao sat on his dragon throne, looking at me with deep eyes. Although you are the newly appointed Star Lord's successor, the secret realm is vast and boundless, and contains a large number of ancient beasts above level 200. More importantly, due to the existence of ancient restrictions, the secret realm is completely isolated from all divine sense probing and live broadcasts from the outside world. Inside, you can only rely on yourself for everything. I bowed slightly, my tone calm and composed. Father, rest assured, since I dare to go, I am confident that I can return unscathed. All right. Emperor Yao nodded. The first Prince Chinjin has lost face in the previous bet and has been staying in his residence without venturing out recently. However, one should always be wary of others. He has been cultivating his influence in the court for many years, and it is not impossible that he has planted some people in the secret realm. Be careful in everything. As they were leaving the imperial study, they ran into the first prince, Chenjin, who was walking slowly towards them. At this moment, Chenjin's face no longer bore the hysterical ferocity of before. Instead, it had regained its former gentleness and refinement. He wore a magnificent robe embroidered with a 9-clawed golden dragon, his hands behind his back, looking at me with a half-smile. Ninth brother, I heard you're going to the Spirit Essence secret realm in person? Chenjin stopped, a cold glint of mockery flashing in his eyes. That secret realm is nothing like the arena outside. It's fraught with danger. If anything goes wrong, this newly acquired position of Crown Prince might change hands before you even have a chance to enjoy it. I looked at him, a faint smile playing on my lips. Brother, you have time to worry about me, but you should worry about yourself. We'll find out who's going to their death in the secret realm once we're inside. Chenjin's facial muscles twitched slightly, and he cupped his hands in a forced smile, saying, Then I wish ninth brother a successful return from the secret realm. In the instant they brushed past each other, it was as if an invisible spark ignited in the air. 3 days later, in front of the core teleportation array of Radiant Star, accompanied by a beam of spatial light shooting into the sky, I and dozens of other geniuses and royal elites who had passed through layers of selection to enter the secret realm simultaneously stepped into the teleportation vortex of the spirit essence secret realm. The dizziness lasted only a few breaths. As the ground gave way to a solid, grounding sensation, an intense, almost overwhelming, spiritual energy of heaven and earth instantly rushed towards me. Looking around, this secret realm is simply a natural treasure trove left over from ancient times. Above the distant mountains, waterfalls of spiritual springs, exuding a rich medicinal fragrance, hang down. On the ground, one can see high-grade herbs that have long been extinct in the outside world for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. And in the air, there are even faint shimmering lights of various colors. As expected of a spiritual treasure realm that appears only once every 120 years, the rich resources here truly deserve the title of Treasure Land. I took a deep breath, and under the nourishment of this rich spiritual energy, my level 125 divine power began to activate on its own. However, opportunities and dangers always coexist. Just as our team had ventured less than 10 miles into the secret realm, a deafening roar suddenly echoed from the depths of the dense forest ahead. Roar! A colossal beast, as large as a mountain, covered in blue scales, with eyes burning with eerie green flames, roared out from the treetops. The terrifying pressure emanating from it had already reached level 205. Oh no! It's the unique guardian beast of the secret realm, the azure-scaled earth dragon. A royal guard traveling with them exclaimed in shock, his face turning pale. A level 205 guardian beast is strong enough to easily crush an ordinary level 130 expert. Join forces and form a battle formation. Kill. Although the royal elites and geniuses traveling with them usually schemed against each other, they dared not be negligent in the face of this life-or-death crisis. They all summoned their natal magic treasures, and various divine lights intertwined to form a huge net of light, which pressed down on the azure-scaled earth dragon. Rumble! A fierce battle erupted instantly. The violent energy shockwaves snapped ancient trees within a radius of several miles in half. I stood at the back of the crowd, seemingly observing the battle, but in reality, I had already spread out my vast divine sense. Through feedback from my clones left several miles away, I keenly sensed a strange killing intent approaching in the shadows. Finally couldn't sit still anymore? I sneered inwardly. Just as everyone was locked in fierce combat with the azure-scaled earth dragon and their attention was completely drawn to the strange beast, several chilling sword energies suddenly erupted from the dense bushes on their flanks without warning. Whoosh! 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 3 purple-grade poisonous sword energies, each several meters long, hurtled towards my back in a triangular formation, tearing through space with incredible speed. The timing of their attack was extremely cunning, precisely when everyone was too busy to react. Ninth Prince, be careful. A loyal guard traveling with him was terrified and tried to help, but it was too late. However, I didn't even turn my head. The passive talent within the body, God-level counter damage, was automatically activated in an instant. When the 3 purple-grade poison sword energies pierced my back solidly, instead of the expected blood and flesh being torn apart, they made a crisp metallic clang. Boom! The counterattack force erupted instantly, and the 3 sword energies were not only deflected, but the terrifying backlash contained within them flowed back along their original trajectory, directly blasting the 3 black-clad assassins who were hiding in the shadows into the air. They coughed up blood in midair, their internal organs shattered, and they died on the ground. Who goes there? The sudden turn of events startled everyone present, and they all stopped what they were doing and stepped back, watching the 3 black-clad assassins' corpses with suspicion. A token bearing the exclusive mark of the First Prince's residence suddenly fell from the waist of one of them. The Crown Prince's men. An elder traveling with them immediately turned extremely ugly. His Highness Qingjin actually dared to openly try to kill the Star Lord's heir in the Spirit Essence secret realm. I slowly turned around, looking at the token. There was no surprise in my eyes, only a chilling killing intent. Since he wants me to die in this secret realm so badly, then we'll settle this score properly deep within this secret realm. I raised my head, my gaze fixed on the forbidden core of the secret realm. There, a faint purple glow shot into the sky, emitting an alluring medicinal fragrance, the legendary key to reaching a higher realm. In the core area of the spiritual essence secret realm, the spiritual energy in the air is so dense that it is almost tangible. Ancient trees stand tall all around, each one radiating an ancient medicinal aura. Led by a few surviving royal guards, I followed the map of the secret realm, venturing deeper into the core forbidden area where the formula for the emerald rank pill was hidden. Along the way, although we encountered many low-level guardian beasts and remnants of ancient restrictions, thanks to the advanced prediction and precise deciphering of my clone's immense computing power, we avoided all dangers almost unscathed. However, danger often strikes in the calmest of times. Boom! With a deafening roar, the previously tranquil void ahead shattered, and a massive black spatial rift, hundreds of feet in size, tore open out of thin air. From within the rift, dozens of figures radiating chilling killing intent emerged, instantly sealing off all our escape routes in all directions. The leader, dressed in a black and gold robe with a sinister face, was none other than Mo Tianqing, a level 135 royal elder and the most trusted confidant of the first Prince Jinjin. Elder Mo? How could you, a royal retainer, be here? One of the guards traveling with them turned pale and exclaimed in shock. Mo Tianqing gave a cold laugh, his gaze as sharp as a venomous snake as he looked at me. Ninth Prince, the first prince misses you dearly and specially instructed me to wait here for you for so long. The Spirit Essence secret realm is isolated from the outside world, so it's perfectly reasonable for any accident to happen here, isn't it? The Crown Prince really went to great lengths to kill me, even sending out an old guy like this, I said calmly, without a trace of panic in my voice, and even with a hint of mockery. Level 135, indeed much stronger than the previous Cairo. Sharp-tongued. A cruel killing intent flashed in Mo Tianqing's eyes. I'd like to see if you can still laugh when you're kneeling before me with your cultivation crippled. Attack! Capture the ninth prince alive! As for the rest, kill them without mercy. Boom! Before Mo Tianqing could finish speaking, his figure had already transformed into a blur and shot out. The terrifying divine power of level 135 poured down without reservation, and the surrounding void groaned under the unbearable pressure. At the same time, dozens of assassins simultaneously unleashed their natal magic weapons, and countless destructive divine lights transformed into a sky-covering net, descending upon us. Protect His Highness! Several loyal guards roared and rushed forward, but faced with the absolute difference in their levels, they were sent flying backward, coughing up blood, their fate unknown, after just one exchange of blows from Mo Tianqing's palm. In an instant, all the killing intent was locked onto me alone. Mo Tianqing grinned maliciously and struck out with his palm, black ghostly flames flickering faintly in his palm. Die. Faced with this fatal blow, I took a deep breath, and the divine power within my body was fully restored in an instant. The second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique has been unlocked once again. Boom! My aura surged 100-fold in a short instant, and golden divine blood boiled and roared in my veins. My original level 125 aura directly climbed to a breathtaking peak. At the same time, the god-level counter-damage passive talent quietly reached its maximum potential. Bang! Mo Tianqing's powerful palm struck my chest squarely. However, the expected scene of my sternum shattering did not occur. Instead, an unimaginable and terrifying recoil force surged back from his palm. Click! The crisp sound of bones cracking could be clearly heard in the silent forest. Mo Tianqing's sinister smile froze instantly, replaced by extreme terror. He felt as if his palm strike had not landed on a person, but on an ancient divine mountain. The immense backlash shattered the meridians in his entire right arm. What? What kind of monstrous counterattack power is this? Mo Tianqing screamed, his entire body flying uncontrollably dozens of feet away, crashing heavily into several ancient trees that were as thick as a person's embrace, spitting out blood. The assassins who had been shouting battle cries all around were terrified at the sight of this scene. They stopped in their tracks and stared at me in horror. I emerged step by step from the smoke and dust, golden divine light flowing around me, like an invincible war god. Elder M.O., it seems the Crown Prince's support isn't quite enough for you. I looked down at the disheveled M.O. Tianqing, my voice icy and piercing. A flicker of despair and madness flashed in M.O. Tianqing's eyes as he gritted his teeth and roared. Attack together! Use your self-destruct magic weapons to blast him to pieces! However, I did not give him any chance. With a swift grab of his right hand, the primordial divine sword condensed from the divine fire within the Lihua cauldron, instantly materialized in his palm. He unleashed the full power of the divine ranked on radiance technique, unleashing a dazzling golden sword light that pierced the heavens. Pfft! The sword flashed by. M.O. Tianqing and the dozens of assassins around him froze completely in an instant, then vanished into nothingness amidst the golden divine flames, their very souls unable to escape. After dealing with the tails, I didn't linger and headed straight for the forbidden area at the deepest part of the secret realm. Half a day later, inside an ancient stone cave shrouded by ancient formations, I finally found the ancient animal hide that recorded the recipe for the emerald rank pill, as well as the core rare and precious material needed to break through to level 200, Star Marrow Elixir. With these things, the door to breaking through level 200 was completely opened for me. A few days later, the time for the secret realm to open will arrive. When I and the surviving guards emerged unharmed from the teleportation array, the various factions and elders waiting outside erupted in uproar. The first prince, Qinjin, stared at me from afar, his face ashen, his eyes so dark they seemed to drip with water. All the assassins he had planted in the secret realm had been wiped out, while I had not only emerged unscathed but had also returned laden with spoils. Upon returning to the Eastern Palace, I secluded myself for 49 days. Relying on the Emerald Step pill formula and Star Marrow Elixir brought back from the secret realm, I refined pills day and night, and a massive amount of top-grade pills turned into a torrent that washed over the meridians in my body. Boom! 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 With a series of muffled thuds as I broke through, my level surged forward, directly crossing the chasm that countless people could not overcome in their entire lives, and steadily stepped into the level 200 mark. Above the entire radiant star, the 9-colored divine lightning triggered by my breakthrough lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, causing all beasts to submit and the stars to resonate. However, just as I successfully reached level 200 and was preparing to purge the Crown Prince's rebellion, a top-level, extremely urgent battle report suddenly arrived from the Starfield border. The Shadow Starfield, which has been entrenched in the abyss beyond the realm for tens of thousands of years and has been in opposition to Radiant Star, has amassed an army of 1 million, personally led by 3 supreme demon lords of level 210, and has already reached the outskirts of Radiant Starfield. The planet Yaoguang is facing the greatest planetary crisis in its 10,000-year history. The highest level alarm bells rang 99 times across the entire planet Radiant Star, their sound carrying a suffocating crimson hue. Inside the council hall, the atmosphere was so oppressive that even the air seemed to freeze. Emperor Yao sat upright on the dragon throne, his face ashen. The elders and high-ranking officials on both sides of the hall were in chaos, their faces filled with fear and despair. The Shadow Starfield has actually launched a full-scale attack at this time, an elderly minister with white hair said in a trembling voice. 3 supreme demon lords of level 210, plus 1 million-strong shadow army. With our current defensive strength, we simply cannot hold out for 3 days. This is clearly a premeditated trap, another elder exclaimed, his face ashen. Rumor has it that the Shadow Starfield possesses an ancient star-destroying artifact, specifically designed to counter the Dawn God bloodline of Radiant Star. If the star-protecting formation is breached, the entire Radiant Star will be wiped out. Crown Prince Qinjin stood at the head of the assembled officials. Although his expression remained solemn on the surface, his hands, hidden beneath his long sleeves, trembled slightly, and a barely perceptible madness and pleasure flashed deep in his eyes. With foreign enemies pressing in, he saw this as perhaps his last chance to use someone else to kill and reclaim his right to the throne. I stood in the center of the hall, my long black robe swaying slightly in the wind, my expression calm and undisturbed. "Father!" My voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached every corner of the hall, instantly silencing all the noise. "Panic won't solve anything. Since the Shadow Starfield dares to come, let them leave their lives outside the Radiant Starfield." Emperor Yao suddenly raised his head, his gaze fixed on me, a complex mix of emotions and expectation flashing in his eyes. "Ninth brother, although you have now broken through to level 200, your opponents are 3 Supreme Demon Lords at level 210, and they have a star-destroying artifact to back them up. Do you have a plan to deal with this? Your subject requests to go to war." I cupped my hands slightly, my tone resolute. "Give me 3 days. I will go and confront this million-strong shadow army all by myself." These words immediately caused an uproar in the hall. Has the 9th Prince gone mad? To single-handedly confront a million-strong shadow army and 3 demon lords is simply futile and a death wish. Even if you are exceptionally talented, the difference in level is undeniable. There's a limit to arrogance. Even the eldest prince, Jinjin, couldn't help but sneer, saying sarcastically, "Ninth brother, you've just made some contributions, and you really think you're an omnipotent savior? Don't let the whole Radiant Star be dragged down with you and not even know how you died." I didn't even bother to give him a second glance, and simply looked directly at Emperor Yao. "Father, I never do anything I'm not sure I can do. If we don't subdue the Shadow Starfield, Radiant Star will never be able to advance to a 3rd-tier planet. Don't forget, the ancestral curse is still counting down." Emperor Yao stared at me intently for a long time, then gritted his teeth and slammed his hand heavily on the imperial desk. "Very well! I hereby authorize you to command all remaining forces on the outer defense line of the Yaoguang Starfield and defend against the enemy beyond the Starfield. All troops, listen to my command and follow the 9th Prince's lead." At the edge of the Starfield, in the void, the million-strong army of the Shadow Starfield resembled a terrifying, dark cloud, obscuring the entire starry sky. Countless ferocious shadow warships hovered in the void, their black demonic flames burning fiercely, devouring all the surrounding starlight. In the void at the forefront of the warship, 3 enormous, demon-godlike figures stood suspended in midair. The terrifying pressure emanating from them had clearly reached the terrifying level of 210. "Ha ha! Is there no one left on Radiant Star? They only sent a level 200 brat to his death?" The demon lord in the center, his figure as imposing as a mountain, held a shadow demon blade that exuded overwhelming resentment, and let out a wild laugh that shook the galaxy. The demon lord on the left sneered, "Who cares what kind of damn Star-Lord's successor he is? Today, we'll raze Radiant Star to the ground, kill all the men, and enslave all the women." I stood alone at the forefront of the void, no more than 100 feet away from the million-strong army. Facing the combined pressure of 3 level 210 demon lords, the level 125 divine power within my body quietly circulated, and divine level counter damage and the bloodline of the Dawn God were intertwined on my body at the same time. Enough with the nonsense. I raised my eyes, the golden divine sword in my hand pointing diagonally at the sky. "Today, none of you will leave here alive. Utterly arrogant. Tear him to pieces." With a roar from the central demon lord, the million-strong shadow army surged forward simultaneously, countless beams of shadow divine light transforming into a destructive torrent that crashed down upon me. At the same time, the 3 demon lords attacked in unison, 3 world-destroying beams of demonic light blocking all my escape routes from 3 directions. At that moment, the hearts of countless soldiers of Radiant Star watching from the rear jumped into their throats. However, I did not back down an inch. The second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique has been unleashed. Boom! My aura surged 100-fold in an instant, and my golden divine blood burned with dazzling flames. Facing the deadly attack of 3 level 210 powerhouses, I formed hand seals, and 993 clones instantly split in the void, forming an incomparably profound killing formation that surrounded the million-strong army. Shadows and clones, 10,000 swords returned to their origin! With a low shout from me, all 993 clones simultaneously swung their swords. In an instant, countless golden divine sword phantoms fell from the depths of the starry sky, carrying supreme divine might capable of annihilating everything, and clashed violently with the torrent of the shadow army. Rumble! The entire star field's edge trembled violently, and endless energy ripples instantly pulverized dozens of desolate meteorites around it. The 3 demon lords' expressions changed slightly. The world-destroying demonic light they unleashed together struck me, but it was instantly and completely deflected by my divine-level counter-damage passive ability. The immense force of the recoil shattered the right arm of the demon lord on the left, scattering black demonic blood across the starry sky. How is this possible? What kind of monstrous technique and counter-damage talent is this? The 3 demon lords were utterly horrified. I gave them no chance to breathe. With a stomp of my foot I transformed into a golden streak of light, wielding my divine sword and charging straight at the face of the demon lord in the center. Within the 2-minute burst of power, I pushed the divine ranked on Radiance Yuan Gong to its limit. Pfft! Golden sword light tore through the void, shattering even the protective demonic armor that the central demon lord was so proud of. A severed head, accompanied by black demonic blood, shot skyward. A peerless demon lord of level 210 had fallen. With their commander-in-chief fallen, the morale of the million-strong shadow army collapsed instantly. Seeing the situation was dire, the 2 remaining demon lords screamed and tried to retreat, but I led my clones and the reinforcements from Radiant Star who arrived later to attack them from both sides and completely kill them in the depths of space. The million-strong army of shadows was utterly routed and annihilated. After a brief period of deathly silence, a deafening roar of jubilation erupted across the entire Radiant Starfield. The great victory at the Starfield border spread like wildfire throughout every corner of Radiant Star in just a few hours. When I and the surviving soldiers returned in triumph amidst a sky full of stardust, the entire Imperial City was deserted as countless people spontaneously knelt on both sides of the streets, their thunderous cheers almost shattering the heavens. However, behind the city's revelry, the Crown Prince Chinjin's palace was deathly silent. Crash! An extremely precious antique porcelain teacup was smashed to the ground, scalding hot tea splashing everywhere. Chen Jin's face was contorted with rage, his eyes bloodshot, his former gentle and refined demeanor completely gone. Useless. All of them are useless. 3 level 210 demon lords, leading a million-strong shadow army, couldn't even kill old 9. Shinjin trembled with rage, his voice sharp and distorted with extreme anger. What kind of monster is he? The strategist, wiping away cold sweat from his brow, warned in a trembling voice. Your Highness, the 9th Prince's prestige has reached unprecedented heights. Not only does he hold the position of Crown Prince, but he is also turning the tide on the border. If we don't act now, once he has the time to settle old scores, we will all be doomed. Purge? He dares. A mad, predatory glint flashed in Shinjin's eyes. Since neither the overt nor covert assassination attempts can get to him, we'll have to resort to our ultimate trump card. He tremblingly pulled a dark gold token from his robes, its surface jet black and exuding an aura of ancient decay. Engraved on the token was a startling character. Forbidden. Upon seeing the token, the strategist's expression changed drastically, and he exclaimed in shock, Your Highness! This is a forbidden decree. Are you going to use that thing sealed deep within the royal palace? Even the Emperor has strictly forbidden it from being touched. I can't care about anything else. Shinjin's face turned crazed. As long as I can destroy him, I'm willing to drag the entire Imperial City into the abyss. Meanwhile, inside the Eastern Palace, I sat cross-legged in the center of the quiet room. I had just experienced an earth-shattering battle in the star field. Although my level 125 divine power was greatly depleted, it was recovering at an alarming speed under the automatic operation of the divine rank Dawn Radiance Yuan Gong. Although the shadow starfield has been destroyed, the eyes that are secretly watching have never truly disappeared. I slowly opened my eyes, a golden light flashing in them. The first Prince Chinjin has almost played all his cards. It seems it's time to settle things once and for all. With a thought, I created dozens of clones to lurk at various key points in the Imperial City, while I myself set off for the forbidden area of the royal family. According to the memories left by our ancestors on the 8th floor of the Trial Tower of Fallen Gods, to lead Radiant Star to become a third-tier planet within 120 years, personal strength alone is far from sufficient. We must find the Eye of Star Origin at the core of Radiant Star and fully activate it to achieve the leap in rank. However, just as I reached the outer perimeter of the Royal Forbidden Area, something unexpected happened. Rumble! Without warning, the entire sky above the Imperial City darkened, and the once brilliant starry sky was completely swallowed by a thick, inky, blood-red cloud. An ancient, malevolent pressure that sent chills down one's spine erupted from the deepest part of the Royal Forbidden Area. What's going on? The faces of the Imperial elders who remained outside the Forbidden Area changed drastically as they stared in horror into the depths of the Forbidden Area. A demonic figure, its entire body wrapped in jet-black chains and radiating an aura of destruction, forcefully tore through the ancient seal of the Royal Forbidden Area and soared into the air. Below the demonic figure, the first Prince Chinjin was frantically forming hand seals and chanting incantations. Chinjin! Have you gone mad? A highly respected elder trembled with rage, pointing at Chinjin and shouting, "That's the remnant soul of the star-devouring demon lord, sealed away in ancient times. How dare you break the seal without permission? You're trying to kill the entire radiant star." Chinjin laughed wildly, turning around with a ferocious expression. "Old man, shut up. Father is biased, and Ninth Prince stole my position as Crown Prince. Since I can't get Radiant Star, then I'll make everyone pay with their lives." Boom! The remnant soul of the star-devouring demon lord roared piercingly to the sky, its massive black demonic body instantly expanding hundreds of feet, carrying an aura of annihilation as it swooped down directly towards the central hall of the Imperial City. Wherever it passed, space shattered inch by inch, and countless low-level cultivators didn't even have time to scream before being vaporized into nothingness by the demonic energy. You've come at the perfect time. Standing in the void, I felt no panic whatsoever. Instead, I let out a cold laugh. The second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique has been unlocked once again. Golden divine flames erupted, and I took a step forward, my figure instantly transforming into a golden streak of light that pierced through the heavens and earth, charging head-on towards the remnant soul of the star-devouring demon lord. Arrogant brat, how dare you, a mere level 200, block my way? The remnant soul of the star-devouring demon lord roared, and his enormous demonic claw, carrying destructive power capable of tearing apart stars, slammed down. Bang! I didn't dodge. I activated my god-level counter-damage talent to the fullest and took the claw attack with my bare body. Click! With a shrill scream, the remnant soul of the star-devouring demon lord's right claw was shattered into pieces the instant it touched my body by the terrifying backlash. How is this possible? What kind of monstrous talent is this? Deep terror was revealed in the eyes of the demon lord's remnant soul. I unleashed a sword strike, pushing the divine rank Dawn Radiance technique to its limit. The golden sword light shone as brightly as the sun, instantly cleaving the demon lord's remnant soul in two. The remnant soul let out a final wail before vanishing completely into the world. After dealing with the remnant soul of the demon lord, I turned around with a cold gaze and locked onto the first Prince Chinjin, whose face was ashen on the ground. Section 8. The remaining demonic energy slowly dissipated in midair, and the night returned to its clear state. The eldest prince, Chinjin, collapsed onto the cold white marble slab, his body trembling violently, his eyes blankly fixed on the approaching golden figure. His trump card, painstakingly prepared over decades, even at the cost of breaking an ancient seal, proved as fragile as paper in the face of absolute power and an unsolvable backlash. You won! Shinjin smiled bitterly, black and red blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. The victor is king, the loser is villain. Kill me or torture me, it's all up to you. I stopped and looked down at him, my eyes completely expressionless. Kill you? I dirty my hands. I raised my hand and pointed in the air, and a golden sealing power instantly entered Shinjin's body, forcibly destroying all his divine power and cultivation. From today onwards, you are stripped of all your princely status and clan affiliation, demoted to a commoner, and exiled to a mining planet on the edge of the desolate domain, never to set foot in the imperial city again. Shinjin was struck dumb, and collapsed to the ground instantly, his eyes revealing a despair more intense than death. With Shinjin's downfall, the last turmoil within the imperial city was completely quelled. However, I had no time to bask in the joy of victory. Having resolved both internal and external troubles, the most pressing matter before me remained the life-or-death curse left by our ancestors, to lead Radiant Star to become a third-tier planet within 120 years. 3 days later, in the core chamber of Radiant Star, I sat cross-legged in the center, my eyes slightly closed, my entire mind sinking into the depths of my consciousness. All 993 clones opened their eyes simultaneously, conducting countless deductions of the ancient star map brought back from the 8th level of the fallen god Trial Tower, as well as the spiritual vein trajectory of the entire Radiant Star. The reason why Radiant Star has been stuck at the peak of the 2nd tier for tens of thousands of years is that the spiritual energy concentration of the star source eye is insufficient, and it lacks the source crystal mother vein to support the leap in tier. I slowly opened my eyes, a glint of light flashing within them. The only way to solve this problem is to go deep into the core of Radiant Star and personally find and awaken the star source eye, which has been dormant for thousands of years. Someone come here, I said in a deep voice. Several Imperial elders waiting outside the door immediately pushed it open and entered. What are your orders, Your Highness? By Imperial decree, gather all high-grade spirit stones and array materials of the 8th rank and above from the entire star field and transport them all to the forbidden area of the Earth's core. I will personally go into seclusion to rebuild the star origin array. Yes, sir. Several days later, deep within the core of Radiant Star. This is the hottest place on the entire planet, with the most chaotic spatial laws. Scorching magma churns like ocean waves, and the surrounding area is filled with raging fire that could instantly incinerate an ordinary level 200 powerhouse. I sat alone, cross-legged, on an ancient, suspended stone platform in the center of the Earth's core. All around me, mountains of 8th-grade spirit stones and countless rare and precious materials were radiating dazzling light. Let's begin. I formed hand seals, and the divine rank Dawn Radiance Yuan Gong was activated at full speed. The powerful divine power of level 200 within my body poured out without reservation, transforming into countless golden chains that pierced fiercely into the depths of the churning magma below. Rumble! The entire Earth's core trembled violently. Guided by my divine sense, the star source eye, dormant deep within the Earth's core, was slowly awakened. A dazzling ball of pure, shimmering gold slowly rose from the bottom of the magma. That was the very essence of the Radiant Star. However, due to its age, the surface of the star source eye is covered with cracks of all sizes, and spiritual energy is being lost at a slow and steady rate. To revive it and advance it to the 3rd tier, I must use my divine blood as a guide, supplemented by the power of my 993 clones, to forcibly reshape it. Without the slightest hesitation, I bit my fingertip, and a drop of essence blood containing the pure bloodline of the Dawn God instantly merged into the star origin eye in my hand. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The moment the golden essence blood touched the eye of star origin, an excruciating pain erupted from the depths of my soul. It was the backlash from the planet's ascension to a higher level. The immense causal force was tearing at my body and soul. Ugh! Even with my composure, A low growl escaped from deep within my throat. Countless bloody cracks instantly appeared on my skin, and the blood that had just flowed out was evaporated into a blood mist by the intense heat. But my arms, gripping the array plate, remained as steady as a rock, without the slightest tremor. 993 clones exerted their power simultaneously in the sea of consciousness, transforming tons of spirit stones into pure energy, and continuously injecting it into the star origin eye. Time passed day by day. The tempering process within the Earth's core lasted for a full 3 months. Over the course of 3 months, strange phenomena occurred frequently in the sky above the surface of Radiant Star. The originally sparse spiritual energy of heaven and earth began to surge wildly at an alarming rate, and countless old monsters who had been in seclusion for many years were shocked to find that the bottlenecks they had been stuck in for hundreds of years were showing signs of loosening at this moment. The entire planet Radiant is undergoing a transformative metamorphosis. Section 9. Rumble. Deep within the core of Radiant Star, endless magma transforms into towering golden pillars of fire, illuminating the entire underground world in minute detail. After 3 months of agonizing tempering and nourishment with divine blood, the star origin eye, which was originally riddled with cracks, finally underwent a qualitative transformation. It expanded several times its original size, transforming into a crystal clear, anciently majestic, gilded cocoon that hovered in the center of the void. An unprecedentedly vast stellar force, centered on the Earth's core, spread wildly outwards in ripples, instantly engulfing every corner of the entire Radiant Star. What kind of spiritual energy concentration is this? At this very moment, the Imperial Elders and countless citizens of the Imperial City guarding the forbidden area outside the Earth's core felt as if every pore on their bodies had opened up in an instant. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth permeating the air was so dense that it almost turned into droplets, and many martial artists who had been stuck at their bottlenecks for many years broke through on the spot without any warning. Above the sky, the dim star rings of what was originally a second-tier planet are now frantically absorbing the endless starlight from beyond the realm, expanding, solidifying, and transforming at a speed visible to the naked eye. Boom! With a deafening roar that seemed to come from the ancient heavens, the planetary hierarchy barrier of Radiant Star shattered. The shackles of the second-tier peak have been completely shattered, and Radiant Star has successfully advanced to a third-tier planet. At the center of the Earth's core, I slowly opened my eyes. 2 dazzling beams of golden light shot out from the depths of my eyes, forcing the magma in front of me back dozens of feet. The moment the Eye of Star Origin completed its transformation, the ancient curse left by my ancestors deep in my mind vanished with a crisp cracking sound. An immense surge of stellar fortune and merit poured into me from the void, permeating my entire body. My cultivation level instantly surged once more, effortlessly surpassing my previous realm and firmly entering the level 130 barrier. The third-tier planet is complete, and the curse is lifted. I let out a long sigh, concealed my aura, and slowly stood up from the suspended stone platform. The 120-year deadline set by our ancestors has not even passed a year yet. In the next star field, it's time for us to settle accounts with those who once coveted our territory. When they emerged from the forbidden area of the Earth's core, Emperor Yao was already waiting outside with his civil and military officials. As I approached, radiating unfathomable divine power, Emperor Yao's eyes flashed with a complex mix of relief and awe. He took a deep breath and bowed respectfully in front of everyone. I, along with billions of living beings from Radiant Star, pay homage to the Star Lord. Behind them, all the elders and soldiers knelt down and kowtowed in unison, their voices, like a mountain collapsing in a tsunami, resounding through the sky. Greetings, Star Lord! Long live the Star Lord! I gave them a gentle push, and an invisible divine force slowly lifted them up. My voice was calm and majestic. Issue the Star Lord's decree, reorganize the 3 armies and rest for 3 days. After 3 days, launch a proactive attack to wipe out all extraterrestrial forces in the surrounding area that have designs on Radiant Star. The news sent the entire planet Radiant into a frenzy. After tens of thousands of years of defense and forbearance, under my leadership, Radiant has finally revealed the fangs of a true overlord. However, just as the entire star system was making intensive preparations for the expedition, an ultimatum from a distant outer region called the Tiansang Star Region was quietly delivered to my desk through a secret interstellar communication array. The letter contained only a single line of blood-written words. Yaoguang Star has just advanced to the 3rd rank and is ignorant of its own limitations. The Domain Lord of Tiansang Star Domain will personally lead 5 level 210 powerhouses to descend and give Yaoguang Star the Star Source Eye and the right to inherit the Star Lord within 3 days, otherwise, not a single one of them will be spared. Inside the Imperial study, the blood-written ultimatum, exuding a chilling murderous intent, lay quietly on the sandalwood table. Several powerful individuals who had just been promoted to core elders gathered around, their expressions extremely solemn as they looked at the contents of the document. The Heavenly Azure Star Domain. It's actually that old established 3rd-tier power entrenched deep within the Star Domain. A Supreme Elder frowned deeply. Rumor has it that the Heavenly Azure Star Domain not only has a profound foundation, but its Domain Lord has also been stuck at level 210 for hundreds of years, and it has 5 top-tier experts of the same level under its command. They're trying to seize our power by force since we've just advanced to the 3rd tier. Another elder gritted his teeth and said, Star-Lord, we have just experienced the great battle in the Shadow Starfield. Although our planet's rank has improved, if we were to directly confront the top forces of the Heavenly Azure Starfield, I'm afraid. Although the words were unfinished, everyone present understood the danger involved. The Radiant Star, having just advanced to the 3rd tier, was not yet firmly established. If all 5 level 210 powerhouses from the opposing side were to descend simultaneously, the entire planet would once again face annihilation. I picked up my teacup, gently blew away the foam, and said in a calm tone, What's there to be afraid of? If they're tired of living, then let them come. I slowly raised my head, my gaze sweeping over everyone. Issue my decree. Within 3 days, the entire star field shall enter a state of highest alert. All defensive formations shall be fully activated, and the outer interstellar teleportation arrays shall be immediately closed. This time, I will eradicate the people of the Tiansang star field outside the Yaoguang star field. Yes, sir! Seeing my resolute expression, the panic in the elders' hearts vanished instantly, and they all accepted the order and withdrew. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Beyond the radiant starfield, in the vast expanse of space. Rumble! With the chilling sound of space tearing apart, 5 enormous, ancient behemoth-like golden-armored warships forcefully crushed the void, standing directly in front of the radiant starfield. Banners fluttered atop the warships, and their terrifying, sky-covering pressure instantly annihilated the starlight within 1,000 miles. At the bow of the lead warship stood an old man clad in golden armor, his face withered but his eyes gleaming like lightning. The terrifying divine power emanating from him had clearly reached the peak of level 210. He was none other than Seng Ming, the domain lord of the Tiansang Star Domain. Behind him, 5 powerful beings from beyond the realm, each radiating a level 210 aura, stood in a row, like 6 world-destroying demon gods who had emerged from ancient times, looking down at the radiant star below. Ha ha! A mere newly promoted 3rd-tier planet dares to shut its doors to guests. The voice of the Tsingming Domain Lord was like rolling thunder, exploding across the entire Yaoguang starfield. If you do not hand over the Star Origin Eye and the right to inherit the Star Lord today, I will have this planet completely erased from the star map. The voice boomed, carrying an arrogant and disdainful tone. However, all that answered him was silence. The next moment, the protective array of the radiant starfield slowly activated. I stood at the forefront of the void, dressed in a long black robe, with my hands behind my back. I was all alone, without a single soldier behind me. You dogs from the Tiansang Star region, you certainly have a loud voice. I raised my eyelids, my gaze falling indifferently on Sung Ming. Do you think a few old guys like you are worthy of making Yaoguang's star bow down to you? Sung Ming's face turned cold, and a sinister glint flashed in his eyes. You ignorant brat! You are the newly promoted Star Lord of Radiant Light? A mere level 130 and dares to be arrogant in front of me. Tear him to pieces! Boom! With Sengming's command, the 5 level 210 powerhouses behind him simultaneously erupted, unleashing a devastating divine power, and formed a 5-pointed triangle to encircle and annihilate me. As the 5 experts attacked at the same time, the surrounding void instantly collapsed into nothingness. The hearts of countless cultivators from Radiant Star watching from the rear instantly leaped into their throats. However, I stood still, without even blinking. The second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique was activated in that instant. Boom! My aura surged exponentially, and with the perfect support of my 993 clones, my level 130 divine power directly crossed an incredible chasm, allowing me to rival the opponent's aura. At the same time, the god-level counter-damage talent was fully activated. Bang! 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 The combined attack of the 5 level 210 powerhouses struck my protective divine light squarely. In an instant, the scene I had expected, being blasted into a bloody mist, did not occur. Instead, an unimaginable, terrifying recoil force instantly swept back along with their attack. Puff! 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 The 5 level 210 powerhouses' expressions changed drastically at the same time. They spat out blood, and the divine weapons in their hands broke inch by inch under the damage of the counterattack. They were sent flying thousands of feet away like kites with broken strings. How is this possible? Sung Ming's previously confident expression froze instantly, replaced by extreme shock and disbelief. Counterattack? What kind of monstrous divine power is this? I didn't answer him. With my right hand I grabbed at the air, and the primordial divine sword, formed from divine flames, instantly took shape in my palm. When the divine ranked on radiance technique is pushed to its limit, a single sword strike from the west eclipses the colors of all stars. Pfft! A golden sword light swept across the sky, carrying supreme divine might that could annihilate everything, and directly cleave the 2 Tiansung star domain experts who were charging at the forefront in 2 minutes of explosive burst time is enough for me to decide the life or death of the entire battle. Old man, it's your turn. I flashed, transforming into a golden streak of light, heading straight for Tsang Ming's face. Tsang Ming was so frightened that his soul almost left his body. He tried to defend himself by using all his cultivation to summon his protective magic treasure, but in the face of the ultimate attack of the second level of the Burning Yuan Mad technique, at its peak, all his resistance seemed so pale and powerless. Boom! The golden sword light pierced through Tseng Ming's protective divine light with unstoppable force. With a scream of despair, Tseng Ming, the lord of the Tiansung star domain, fell. With their commander dead, the remaining few powerful warriors from the Tiansung star region completely lost their fighting spirit and tried to escape, but they were all sealed off by the star array set up by my clones around me and killed in the void. The entire elite force of the Tiansung starfield, including 5 top-tier experts, was wiped out. Beyond the radiant starfield, billions of stars shimmer. I stood alone atop the void, sword in hand, my robes fluttering in the wind. Behind me, the radiant light of Radiant Star illuminated the entire star field. From a soul that usurped another world's territory to the Supreme Star Lord who now controls a star and suppresses all ages, my journey has only just begun.